So we're calling this presentation today and this talk the value of Spanish, because I understand many of you are thinking of enrolling in the V Spanish school. And so we'll talk about why that might be a good decision for you. What are some of the advantages, particularly in view of the love that all we Indians have of America. Sometimes it's a love-hate, but I think most of our Indian brothers and sisters, we want to at least visit US sometime, and some of us want to work there. So we'll talk about Spanish in the US. What is the role of Spanish? What is the importance of Spanish in the United States? We'll talk about how you can use Spanish in business in the US and somewhat abroad. And then we'll talk about some of the personal advantages of learning Spanish just for you, even in India. Hope that's okay. Let's get started. So I'll ask you to find your chat if you can. And by the way, Sharik, we've got a large buzzing in the background. I don't know whose application is doing that, but if we can get rid of that, that would be fantastic. So if you think you recognize, thank you for closing that off. Okay, so to some of our prospective students, prospective Spanish learners, please open your chat and tell me if you think you recognize where that is. Okay, hi Ajay, hi. Can you type in where you think this place is on your screen? Anybody even want to guess? What language is that sign in? Does anybody know? Do you even know how to pronounce that? Is it new for you, or is it something you're experienced with? Okay, no idea. Thank you, Ajay. Amit, hi to you as well. I'm seeing your chat. All right, well, I guess we stumped everybody. Now, I'm a professor of business, and I like to encourage my students to give wrong answers. Let me repeat that. I like to encourage my students to give wrong answers. That's different from every other professor you ever had. They only wanted the right answers. But I'm different, because when you give a wrong answer, you have a chance to learn something, and you give us something to talk about. So I'll ask again, who wants to give me a wrong answer about the location of this place on your screen? Okay, yes, Ajay is saying, I know hablo español. I know hablo Spanish. Very, very good. This sign is in Spanish. It's a little music festival, and the location is called Calle Ocho. Calle, that double L is a Spanish letter called L-Y, and it's pronounced Y. So Calle Ocho, and you might be surprised to see this whole Spanish thing is in a neighborhood called Little Havana in the city of Miami in the state of Florida. And guess what country? Estados Unidos. America mehe. It's in America. The city of Miami is not part of Latin America. It's not part of South America. It's not in Spain. It's in America. And yet here they're advertising it in Spanish. And the name of this neighborhood is Little Havana. Havana is the capital of Cuba. And the name of the road, it used to be called 8th Street. It used to be called 8th Street. If you look at an old map of Miami, it's listed as 8th Street. But now, because so many people from the island of Cuba have come there, this neighborhood is now called Little Havana, and the streets are now called Calle Ocho and La Siete, which was Northwest 7th Street. It's right close to the downtown. If you look at this map, El Downtown, Los Roads, you can see in this neighborhood of Miami, USA, Florida, you need Spanish. You almost can't function if you only know English. Did you imagine that? A place in America where you have to know Spanish? But Little Havana is like that. It's an all Spanish neighborhood, predominantly populated by Cuban Americans. And there are other places like that. Barrio, you might see in the middle, Barrio del Orange Bowl. It's a big sports stadium. The neighborhood of the Orange Bowl. Everything is in Spanish, and it's not alone. There are lots of other places in the US which are very, very similar to that. So let's look at another one. Can you guess where this is? What language are all these delicious things described in? Raspados y biónicos, tostilocos, fruta picada, okay? Aguas, Naturales. All these names of foods are in Spanish, and you can see the building is painted in beautiful colors in the Spanish American style, in Hispanic Latin American style. Very colorful. Anybody want to guess where this is? And feel free if you have any comments. Okay. Okay. All right. Poquito Spanish, sir. Very good. Good for you, Ajay, man. That's really cool. This is in the other side of US, in California. Los Angeles is the second largest city in US after New York. And this is right, as you can see on the map, in East Los Angeles. It's just outside of downtown. And notice where the residents come from. Down south of the border, down Mexico way. They're all people from Mexico and their descendants who have come north to El Norte, the north, which means United States, and they've now settled in US, but they've kept their culture. And when you go there, you might as well be in Tijuana or Monterrey or Oaxaca or any of these places where it's actually Mexican-style food, Mexican-style restaurants, signs in Spanish, and that's right in US. So the point we're making here is that to do business in the US, to travel in the US, to form relationships in the US, to be a resident of the US, which some of you want to be someday, Spanish is very valuable. It's almost necessary in certain areas which are heavily settled by people from Spanish-speaking countries. So let's give you some more detail on that now so you can see just how prevalent the use of Spanish is in the United States. Look at this map. Look at it. Take a minute to read the numbers and look at how many Americans are Spanish people. Okay? Over 32 crores is the population of the total of America. But more than 20% of those are Hispanics. Hispanics have had so many people coming from Colombia, Guatemala, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Mexico, and Chile, and Argentina. So many people have come and settled, and even from Spain and Europe, that there are now whole sections of the US where Spanish can be more common than English. You might look at toward the bottom middle of that US map. If you know your US geography, you know that curvy state at the bottom is called Texas. And the whole left side of Texas is very dark in the blues. But you go over a vertical line into the next kind of square place. That is an American state called New Mexico. New Mexico. And everything south that's in a faded color is actual Mexico. But New Mexico is right next to Mexico and Texas. And you may be surprised to learn that all of government laws and declarations in the state of New Mexico are published in English, but they're also published in Spanish because there are so many Spanish speakers in the state of New Mexico. And if you are a Spanish speaker and you don't do well in English, and there are a crore of people in the US who really only speak Spanish. They speak very basic English or not English at all. 1 crore of people out of 32 crores are pure Spanish speakers. So you probably didn't know that. Everybody thinks, oh, English is the official language of America. It's not. America doesn't have an official language. You, in many parts of America, can function just as if you were in a Latin American country. You can actually use Spanish in a number of these darker areas. You look at that state on the far left, the one that's bordering the ocean, it's called California. It's the largest state in the US. And, you know, ethnically speaking, if you want to say which kinds of people live there, fewer than half the people who live in California, and this includes my daughter and son-in-law, and my uncle, and my cousins, but fewer than half of the people who live in California are Goras like me. They're white people like me. California is now majority, what we call majority minority, majority non-white. So if you want to go to America, you will find that the Spanish language is very valuable in quite a number of regions. If you look at this list of cities, about the top 9 or 10 American cities are included on this list. Number 1, New York. Number 2, Los Angeles. Number 3, Chicago. Number 4, Houston. Number 5, I believe, is now Phoenix. Number 6 is probably San Antonio, and then Dallas. All of these are top 10 cities, and you will find it's extremely valuable if you want to do business in U.S. to know Spanish, because there are many people, many companies, many corporations, many businesses where Spanish is required. Furthermore, if you have Spanish skill, you need to, you have a marketable skill. You have something that has commercial value. Did you know out of all the countries in the world where Spanish is spoken, USA is number 2? There are more Spanish speakers in USA than in Spain itself. Wow, huh? Pretty interesting, okay? And you see, if you look at the map in that USA geography, that one square at the top of
I see, David, that you have freeze. You are freezed. Your image is not moving now. But all this information that you are sharing with us is really an eye-opener for even me. You know, I did not know like U.S. is the second country where Spanish-speaking population is huge. I believe David has been. Oh, David has come back. Let's try your connection, David. You have to put your microphone on unmute. Yeah.
Done, and we'll start the video again. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened with my connection. Areva, wo India hai, aisa chalta hai.
We are really enchanted.
We have to do some jugaad. Hum pakka Indian hai. Hamara Bharat mahan hai. Jai Hind. Okay. All right. So now we're back online with you. Anamika, by the way, I liked yours the other day, your session on Spanish. Okay. So as you can see, USA is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. You didn't know that, did you? You thought all those Goras, they only.
Hey, I believe continuously we are having some problems with David's connection, but really he'll come back definitely because he's trying to connect. But it is really very interesting for everybody and even for me to know these details that David is sharing with us. It's a wonderful presentation and eye-opener, as I said. David is here once again. David, please unmute yourself first. Now unmute yourself.
I'm so sorry for these interruptions. I just got off a different call and it didn't happen. All right. So again, the point we were making is if you learn Spanish, you will have a skill that's extremely valuable in US. You can go and work in talking to customers. You can sell. You can work in retail. You can work at a call center. You can work in software. A lot of the software programmers, any industry you work in, you will use Spanish very often. Okay, so now let's talk about this list of foods. How many of you recognize any of these foods? What are the names of these foods?
You have to share the screen, David.
My bad. My bad.
No problems.
Let me share again. I'm going to show you some foods, and then I'm going to ask you, you recognize these foods or you don't? What's the one in the upper left? Somebody type it in chat or unmute yourself and tell us. What do we call that upper left, that bowl, that metal bowl? Come on.
It's called Rajma.
Rajma, huh? This is what I cooked for my breakfast yesterday. I had rajma. Yeah. And tomorrow I'm going to have rajma.
It's good for stomach.
Absolutely. Good for digestion. And what's that one in the middle? What do we call that?
Tortillas.
It's roti.
Chapati. Okay. And the upper right? Here in India.
Mirchi.
Lal mirchi. Okay. Does anybody recognize?
Lal mirchi.
Okay, lal mirchi is the upper right. What's the lower right?
Dhania
no,
powder.
Okay, no.
Actually,
Dhania ka powder. No, no, no. वो नहीं है. जीरा
That's
है.
I suppose it's wheat,
जीरा.
cereals.
Hmm.
नहीं, 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 नहीं. जीरा है.
Jira, jira, yes, yes.
Jeera hai,
Okay,
okay?
jeera.
This is
Okay, I got it.
jeera, okay? And what's that fruit in the lower left?
Um,
Exactly. Okay. Now,
so
so
that's the
answer
season
the
of mango.
question at the top. Which country's cuisine uses these ingredients? Where in the world do you
Indian.
find all India, right? Guess again.
India.
I must say in India.
Guess again. Guess again. These are all widely used in Mexican foods.
New Mexico.
No, the whole country of Mexico. And
Okay,
we have some Mexican foods in India, but it's very hard to find authentic Mexican food. We should all love Indian food because it uses the same thing. It uses rajma, it uses chapati and mirchi and jeera, and it uses but they call them different things: tortillas, frijoles, chiles, comino, and mango. Okay, all those are Spanish names. So you might be surprised to know that the same ingredients we're eating in India, Spanish-speaking people are eating in their part of the world, and in US, these foods are very common. So if you go there, you should find food that you like, and knowing Spanish is a good skill for you because then you can order from a Spanish menu, and that's very common. Americans love to eat Mexican food and other food from Spanish-speaking countries. Okay, so I just put this in for fun. All right. So I don't know, maybe you're in culinary arts and you want to go be a chef in US. You'll fit right in. Okay? Here's another kind of thing you will find served in America. How important it is. We showed you that restaurant in Whittier Boulevard in East LA. Bionicos and raspados. Okay? What are they? Bionicos. Can you see what they are? What do you think a bionico is?
Ice cream.
Yeah, it's sort of like an ice cream, what we call a sundae. It's a mix of ice cream, but the key
Ice
is
cream.
it has fresh fruits. The Spanish-speaking countries are really known for a lot of fresh fruits. So if you want to go to America, you can use your Spanish to order really good food. And then the other one is like it's like a smoothie. A raspado is kind of like a smoothie, a fruit smoothie. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. Now, what else can you enjoy? Besides the fact that you can do business, how can Spanish enrich you? Who wants to take a guess? If you recognize these words? Anybody recognize those words?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I know you do. Okay, Vivek, you want to say something? Vivek, what do you recognize? Do these words make any
Sorry,
sense to
sir.
you at all? Okay, no issues.
Sorry,
I'm hearing
sir.
sound from you. No issues. You might want to mute yourself. Anybody want to guess what these are? Okay, this is your personal enrichment from Spanish. You might have heard this song before. It was like the most popular song in the world a couple of years ago.
Second line is I have to dance with you today.
Say again with me today. What?
Pasito, pasito. It's despacito.
Despacito. Which who knows what
Yes.
that means? It means slowly.
Slowly,
Okay?
slowly.
So you might have heard them sing this song, and even Justin Bieber sang it, but you might not know what it meant. So one of the enriching things about knowing Spanish is you can actually understand the red hot lyrics of this song. it's actually pretty intense. It's very turn up the heat. It's a little bit like a Bollywood number, but much hotter. It's making my pulse go faster. You are the magnet and I'm the metal attracted to you. I'm making my plan. It's a little bit more, I don't know, how do you say, hot compared to our Bollywood numbers. But yeah, so one of the other reasons that Spanish will benefit you is you'll be able to enjoy these kind of cultural things. Spanish is becoming a leading language in the world. You know, there are more than 40 crores of people worldwide who speak Spanish. It's one of the most widely spoken languages in the world. So Spanish culture is another benefit for you of learning Spanish. So finally, just somebody, I didn't get this, I gave you the source of this, but these are a summary that even in India, you can, Vivek, maybe you could mute yourself. I think we're getting some noise from your side. Vivek, if you wouldn't mind mute, thank you so much. I can hear much better. So yeah, so we've given you these basic points, just in very brief. Spanish is really useful in the USA. It has really useful commercial activity. The one thing I didn't share with you, did you know that although the language of almost all the states actually is English, there's one place where American citizens live where the language is Spanish, and it's the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. So just in terms of business, if you speak Spanish and you can go to Puerto Rico, you can start a business there, and it's better than even like what Maldives people have. Maldives people have a customs union with India. If you start a business in Maldives, you can bring your products into India and your money into India. It's even better than that. If you go into Puerto Rico, you can become an American citizen there. And if you do your business in Spanish, you have free access to all the 50 American states. They're not, Puerto Rico is not a state. It's kind of like a union territory, but you have free economic relations. So many economic opportunities in US, obviously many just useful uses of Spanish, and then for your own personal benefit. You can appreciate the cuisine, you can appreciate the music, the culture, and you should feel right at home with Spanish-American culture because it shares so many things with India. So I'll stop my presentation at this point. These are the three main points. We did say it's widely spoken around the world, so it's not just commerce in the US. You can take your commerce anywhere in the world and find Spaniards, particularly Latin America, but also Europe and some of some of North America as well. And so we strongly recommend this language. Hey, besides, it's a beautiful language and it's a lot of fun. I really have enjoyed learning it. My Spanish isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. I can do business. I led a webinar. Marie Jose said we should have let me do it in English, but for me it was a good desafío. It was a good challenge to try to do it in Spanish. So that's it. At this time, we will open the floor for questions, and happy to answer anything we can. And you have, in addition to me, with my US knowledge, we have some Spanish instructors from Spain. We have people who know and love India like I do. So whatever you want to ask with regard to learning Spanish, we'll do our best to give you an answer. Over to you, Shari.